So, raga jazz is basically taking an Indian, we call it a scale. So, kind of sounds like this. It's not your traditional scale. Like your traditional scale would be like, that's something you've probably heard. Like you could play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. With this scale, it would sound something like this. Sounds a little bit exotic. And then you'd put some color in the left hand. So what you're doing in the right hand is a little different from what you're usually hearing on the radio or on the YouTube channel. And in the left hand, it's adding a little bit more color to it. So I'm taking the sounds I grew up with as a kid, and I'm putting some of the more common chords that you're hearing in like pop music or, your favorite hit, and then creating a different style. I think it's a spiritual journey for me. It's not even the technical skill because I practiced a lot, so I got that technical part down. But to actually feel the music was something that I learned by listening to a ton of records like Bill Evans and Miles Davis. And when Bill Evans, the great jazz pianist, was asked, what is jazz? He didn't describe it in a technical way. He said jazz is a feeling. And it took me a long time to realize that anyone can write a tune, but not everybody could write a tune that sticks, that really has that emotional tug. And that takes years of just experiencing life and then mellowing and not rushing it. So I would say that's the greatest aspect of my musical discovery. So when I was composing, I've been composing since I was 5, I wanted to compose like Mozart, and I did. I wanted to compose like Beethoven, and I did. And I would play Debussy till the cows came home, and I did a lot of, he did a lot of work with modal stuff and exotic sounds, and I did. And I would very triumphantly go to my piano teacher and say, look, this is what I did. And she would be like, that's great, but we want to hear you. And I was just like, what do you mean? He's like, we've heard all of them. Like, we don't want to hear Mozart again. We don't want to hear Beethoven again. We want to hear you. And at that point, I just literally, I remember that moment I sat in the garden and I was like, wow, like who would want to hear me? Like, doesn't everyone want to hear the great dead composers? And he's like, yeah, no, but we want to hear you. And at that moment, I realized that composing is not about repurposing, rehashing, redoing a ton of stuff that we've heard. Composing is about creating something new. That's when I realized it. I didn't realize it before because I always thought being a composer means being a rehasher. But that's not composing. And then I started to realize all the composers that pushed the boundaries and invented new sounds were inventors. They were creators. And then I started really taking risks and pushing my sensibilities and my musical sensibilities until the point I realized I don't want to sound like those dead old guys. I want to sound like me. So that was an aha moment. It's not the instrument. It's the way you use the instrument. So I say, for any instrument, right? You have even a classic violin concerto, and you have two different people, Hilary Hahn and Josh Bell interpreting a concerto totally differently. So it's important to not look at it as the instrument. It's important to look at what's being created out of that instrument and who is creating it and how it's being created, because an instrument evolves. Piano is created in late 1600s, early 1700s in Italy, and even as it evolved to the point where Beethoven was playing, Beethoven could play 4 fortes and 4 pianos on it, like really soft, really, really loud, and that wasn't possible when Bach was composing it. So it definitely is not dead. I recorded one of my latest jazz pieces in the Steinway Spirio. It's a player, basically electronic player, piano. I sat down, played everything, and it played it back for me. So basically eliminated the need for me to go to a recording studio, and also made me realize that I could play back everything that I have recorded and hear it, like technology allows you to do so. And that wasn't possible even 50 years ago, the Spirio technology. So definitely wouldn't say that it's dead. I think it's evolving. Ragas and Waltzes is dedicated to my late father, who passed away in December, because we would listen to both ragas and waltzes together. We would listen to Strauss waltzes, and he would always tell me one should dance through life. It's really important to take life with levity. And so this album captures both the raga pieces and waltzes. The waltzes are played by the drummer from Preservation Hall, as well as a harpist, violinist, and double bass. And I think it's the most sparkling, joyous, light, heartwarming album I've ever written, because the other previous raga albums were a little heavy. They were more, soulful, devotional guzzles over it. This is really, really light and fun, and I have a lot of fun even listening to the tracks over and over again. And it's funny that it took something that dark, like my father's passing, to write something this light. And then it made me realize that sometimes Mozart's best work, his most joyous work, were not done during the moments where he was really happy. It was actually done during the moments he was very, very sad, because he needed that joy. So that's what this album is about.